they've had everything crammed in to less than 12 hours.
Okay, everybody, hello, good evening, and welcome to Big Pitch 2022, the grand final. And I'm delighted to welcome you all here this evening. It's been a real challenge for students this year because this is the first time they've been live in 3 years. The last two grand finals have been via Zoom or Teams. So this is the first actual face-to-face event. And these students have really been through the mill. They've uploaded a video, they've been to a boot camp, and now they've been practicing hard to pitch to you this evening, or to our judges this evening. So let's hear it for the finalists. Don't be shy. And no final will be complete without our very own private dragons. Enter the dragons, please. I'm glad to let them introduce themselves rather than me do it. I'm very embarrassed. You said we're going to really stick to time this evening. So it's amazing this evening, and thank you all for supporting the students. Are they here? Oh, they have gone. Really gone. Well, maybe I should just start by saying here at University, we are really proud of our entrepreneurial students, and you're going to see some of them this evening. And we're not using microphones, so if you can't hear at the back, please put your hand up or shout, and we'll make them speak a bit louder. These students have, as I say, all the work that they've been doing recently is extracurricular. So this their own time they spend being nurtured in entrepreneurship and enterprise. So thinking about if they want to start a business, if they've got a good idea that they're not sure if the business is going to work or not, here is the best place to try out. So give it a go and see how it works. They're coming. I think we give them a really big round of applause. We did the run of shame when we were at boot camp, so that anybody that was late, we applauded extra loudly. So that. And the video that has been running was of this year's boot camp, so you can see what the students have been through, how excited they were, and what challenges they had to overcome during those 2 days. And it's amazing what can happen in 2 days when you think sometimes businesses spend, I don't know, 2 years getting to this stage. So it's really, really, really proud of them. And maybe I should hand over to Yvonne just briefly to talk about ARU. And then they come later. Because we're coming halfway through, aren't we?
I'm not going to be long, so
no. Okay. Is there anything I should say as well? This is just to get you really tensed up. Feeling relaxed? Yeah? Good.
Also like thunder.
Should I go and get them? Anyway, I wish I had a few jokes to tell you, but I haven't actually today. Got my unawares ready. You might have to take this off the video. I should warn you, we're videoing this as well today.
So if you ask me some questions about how the Wickham was, how the experience was, I need to feel it.
Oh, what a good idea. How was the experience? Oh, hang on. Thank you very much, esteemed judges. Obviously, we didn't quite get the carrier pigeon out in time. Obviously, very huge welcome to you as well. And I hadn't even introduced myself. I'm Marcia Baldry-Bryan, and I have the enviable task of, well, actually, I have got the best job in the university, as I've always said, because I work with these aspiring young entrepreneurs, and it's an amazing place to be. But before I actually go on to the main part of the evening, so we're going to leave these students a little bit longer, I'm just going to ask Yvonne Barnett, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, to say a few words. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is the live Big Pitch 2022 final. Thank you to the judges. I know you've been toiling all day long, and huge thanks and congratulations to all our budding entrepreneurial students and colleagues this afternoon and this evening. We look forward to the evening's event, and I must say, having joined ARU just 3 years ago, I every day meet the spirit of innovation, of enterprise and entrepreneurship, which pervades everything we do. It's fantastic. It's no wonder previously we were Entrepreneurial UK University of the Year. We were finalists last year. And actually, what we've been, a number of us have been working on CAR here from the Student Union previously, and working with the Student Union and a range of colleagues across ARU and experts beyond ARU. We're really going to accelerate entrepreneurship and enterprising activities across ARU for staff as well as students. And something like this, which is very student-centric, has to be the pinnacle of any academic year. So I'm really genuinely excited. This is one of the highlights of my week. So I'm really pleased to say, because of all of the efforts from Marcia and lots of colleagues and the Students' Union, that we now, with our new strategies around education and research and innovation and operating strategy, we've got enterprise and entrepreneurship at their heart. We will be really sort of thinking this is as a launch pad tonight, so there's even bigger and better yet to come. But this tonight is all about these fantastic ideas. As a university, we create knowledge, we disseminate knowledge in our education programmes, through the scholarship, the research that we undertake, and really importantly, the application of that into the world, whether it's economical, cultural, community in terms of social enterprises. And these are all the areas that I'm really interested to hear about from you this evening. And this is what makes university communities very, very special. I'm sure there's lots of nerves in that second and third row. Just bring the very best of yourself to your pitches tonight. Enjoy it. It's wonderful. You're leaving a legacy, and no matter what, we will work with you to be successful in your ambitions. So congratulations for everything you've been through thus far tonight. Relax your amongst friends, and really, really just go for each and every one of you. I really look forward to your pictures. Thank you very much.
And judges, you are going to have a very difficult job. Now, the students will be giving 3-minute pitches, and they will be timed, and they can see the timer. And you judges you can have a maximum of 10 minutes to ask them questions. And Julian will make sure that you don't go over 10 minutes. Okay? Because Julian is a very good timekeeper. And after all the pitches, we will have a break while the judges go and deliberate in their judging den, and we will all have a buffet outside and relax and enjoy each other's company. And then we will come back in after about 45 minutes to have the awards and presentations. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the vote you've all been waiting for. We have our first contestants this evening are Sebastiano and Tommy with their Green Way.
So, 140 million people.
What is this number?
This is the total number of people around the world that doesn't have access to electricity.
I find it very hard to believe that 940 million people don't have access to electricity.
It is true, please, believe me.
That is more than the total population of Europe.
Yeah, it's true, believe me. So,
I do trust you, but why are you saying this to me? Is there anything that can be done for this?
well, do you remember when we went to the park and we saw the leaf that was running so fast in the river surface? It was moving, right?
Yes, but I don't see why that is relevant.
It's relevant because it was using running water, and actually there is a lot of running water that is untapped nowadays.
Well, I think I see your point, but I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but you're not very mentally real. People know that, I've known that for years. That's called hydropower. And not only, have you heard about the huge dams they are building all around the world?
That's the problem. They are huge, and they're only looking for huge quantity of water to generate electricity. Second, they are not built in a sustainable way because just in case if there is a crack in a wall, this could be dangerous. And also because if they need to move, like people or like communities that are living nearby, this could create problems to the communities. And third, we can also use this energy to provide this in emergency situations where people are not living in rural areas or they don't have access to electricity.
So yeah, I see your point. Massive dams around the world. They're only concentrating on huge quantities of water, so I guess there could be potential for smaller rivers and smaller ground supports.
Yes.
Well, as you said, it is untapped. Well, we could make good use out of this wasted water. Maybe we could possibly do it ourselves and target some existing infrastructures like weirs, water mills,
Yes,
or
nice,
locks, like
yes.
the one in Jesus Green that we saw the other day.
Yes. And actually, the uniqueness of this idea is that you can scale up quite rapidly because you can play around with the virtual 3D models and then you can use this to implement the tangible prototype. Once you have a tangible prototype, you can go and ask for further grants to the governments or for non-governmental organizations.
So yeah, I guess then we should jump to the part in which we say how we plan to do this.
Well, I'm Sebastiano,
I'm Tommaso.
and for this reason we are looking for £5,000 to initiate our project.
The way we are going to use this £5,000 investment is by first enlarging our team and expanding the knowledge we have in this field. Second, we are going to use this knowledge to then build a 3D model and prototype to use that to secure further grants and fundings. And that, with these money, we're going to fund research and development of our product to then decentralize the production energy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions? Who wants to go first? All right. Yes, please do.
Thank you very much. There are products similar to this already in the market. Are you looking to use existing products but deploy them in new ways, or develop something quite unique, and why?
Can I take this?
Yeah, sure.
Nice. So we are aware that the competition is up there and they are reviewing this. We analysed the competition we have And we have seen that, especially in the UK, most of these businesses are spread across all around the country, but really mostly in Scotland or in northern parts of the country where there are more mountains and then more potential. And then another characteristic they tend to have is that they focus on the domestic market rather than expanding elsewhere. So the way we would like to do this is by partnering with university really, and seeing if we can get to get some researchers to work with us, maybe PhD or masters, and then with this to develop our models, to secure fundings, maybe from the EU or UK, and then with that to expand on our own.
To conclude, let's say that in the whole Europe we found only a few companies that are doing this, with like building prototypes and then going and scale it up outside even the UK, Europe, and also in third world countries. So the competition is there, but it's really fragmented, so it's not a solid pattern. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, does that mean you have a particular design in mind which you're looking to evaluate initially through modelling and so forth, or you're looking to improve on something that's out there? And depending upon which approach, how are you looking to either protect your own IP or potentially even establish if you've actually got freedom to operate, given that patents or other protections that competitors might have?
That's a really interesting question. So as you can see here, basically this is the video. This gentleman, Daniel O'Connor, basically is the gentleman that we have established some connection, and he said that we can use his prototype, his open source, and we can use it, and then from that side we can start to work on our prototype. Our final aim, of course, is to produce an intellectual property, because if we want to go there on the markets and reach people and encourage governments to fund us with grants, of course we must have intellectual property. So of course the money that we will gain will be used to financiate those that experts that are going to use the CAD software and understand the water turbine, how it's going to work, and from there develop intellectual property.
If I may add, that prototype you see right there is able to produce about 200 watts with 40 euros. That's quite impressive. So in a day, that's about 5 kilowatts per hours a day. Especially another thing about the IP, another interesting model is we found it on a Belgian company. I don't know if we're allowed to say the name or not. I'll go anyway. It's called Turbulent, and they have quite an interesting product that we would like to see and maybe do something around that, but respecting the IP obviously and the total world.
Jane.
Thank you. It's not easy to go first. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prototypes obviously going to be very important, but further down the line, you're going to be dealing with different countries, presumably, different geographical locations, different political situations as well. Have you given any consideration as to what type of areas and how you manage those?
Absolutely. Yes, so in our first stage, of course, we wanted to scale up here in the UK because our headquarters will be based here, but then we want to scale up even outside Europe or like third world countries, Africa, Brazil, or others. The thing is that some countries, as you say, they don't have like some solid patterns in terms of renewable energy, national grid. They could be like they themselves are confused. The thing is that if we build our prototype and then as soon as we reach our status of intellectual property, then we can reach the governments, not just for grants, but they will be our channels. So they will introduce us, of course, to those markets that is more, where there is an easy access. Of course, we want also to use like softwares that will enable us to understand since the beginning the topographic situation of Africa or Brazil, which is the more convenient point to start, or which is the worst point to start. So this is the first stage, basically.
And I would only like to add 2 points. The first one is that we have, well, actually, it's 2 people. So these 2 points are 2 people that we know. The first one is closer to us, so we would first like to expand in this region. We found this interesting, we're in Jesus Green here in Cambridge, but then I asked a friend of mine who works for as a communication expert for the Polish government to give me some resources to find some places in Poland that I've seen that it's the country that's investing most in these technologies, and he has given me honestly here. He has given me some incredible websites and sources, and potentially he could put us in contact with some governmental organizations there. And then he is friend with a guy who works as an engineer in the second largest dam in the world, which is in Brazil, the border between Brazil and Paraguay.
So we have the technical expertise.
Excellent.
Just say a little more about the £5,000 you mentioned. What would you use it for? What would it achieve for you?
As we revised our financials, could you please if you need a copy? We saw that the financial we produced, as they are working documents, we realized the way we were spending money was not ideal. So the document you're seeing right there is how we plan on spending the money. It is mostly on somebody who can work, not full-time, but some time on the prototype, on the CAD model. And then their expenses are, for example, for building a physical prototype, which is going to be something like that at first, and then just some other expenses, like if we want to go to the potential office in Paolo, or really just expenses around that.
So, if I may add, basically, in a nutshell, this money will be used to pay the CAD expert, which is a technician, and of course, this person will help us to reproduce the water flow and the fluid dynamics of this prototype, but then we want a patent, of course. So as soon as we then finish with this, we can proceed to the second stage. But all the money will use only in this first stage, and other smaller things, like for example, buying tools, back tools, and other stuff to build the prototype properly.
Debbie?
What's the biggest barrier to your perceived success? What's going to be your biggest challenge in the coming months?
In the coming months? Well,
I can go with this. So as we said, as I think you've seen in the business plan, the very first phase is to expand our team, and as we've heard, there is the opportunity for us to ask directly maybe later if we can partner with the university to expand our team and to get somebody with technical knowledge directly in our team who likes the mission and who would like to join us. And then once we have this, we would like to really understand what we can do to go around the IP problem. That is going to be the next biggest challenge.
Excellent, thank you. Bev?
One last question. Obviously you've come here to win, but if you were unsuccessful, what's your plan B so you can continue working on this?
Personally speaking, we will try to use our personal money, and we will start to work immediately with Rogero, which is this gentleman that is in Brazil and is like the expert in renewable energy. He's an engineer per se. So we want to start to work with him. We'll secondly talk with Daniel, which is living here in the UK, and he said that unfortunately he wasn't able to come here today, but he will pop up here in Cambridge, and we will start to collect all those materials, physical and tangible stuff, and we will try to start to build the prototype. And then we will go in real rivers and test and document all the data. Once we have done this, we will start to contact, in any case, people within the university, especially in the Faculty of Science and Engineering in Chelmsford, and kick off.
Another thing that I would like to say before time finishes, when we started this project, he started on his own, and then I was just planning on doing a master's in energy management anyway. Then I told him about this, and he was like, "Why don't you join me in Big Pitch?" So I guess we were kind of going there anyway. The difference is, if we don't win, the thing that I'm going to do with him and another friend of mine is to build that. That is my dream.
This will take place for sure. This will happen.
So thank you. That concludes our questions.
Thank you very much. Wow, that gives you something to think about, doesn't it? So, moving swiftly on, our second person up this evening is Eddie with Information is Power. Not giving them to you. I can shout at Robert.
They're live now.
Over to you.
Okay, so I just wanted to, just as a disclaimer before I start, I'm usually about kind of serious understand that that's something that can be personal to a lot of people, it can be extremely triggering. So there's absolutely no offence if someone wants to get up and go, take themselves out, or just as a thing, you know, just thought I'd start with that, as it is essential to respect. But other than that, so I have to start off. So 2 years ago, my very dear cousin was sexually assaulted, and none of us knew what to do. It was such a blindsided, you know, we felt out of control, and I thought, well, you know, there must be something on the internet, have a look. And everything is so scattered, I couldn't tell one place to look. And it was just horrible, because I'm always the answers person for my family. So it was just one of those things, and I thought, well, there's a massive gap here. And a project came up called Safer Streets, with Shoke, the university, and with Essex County Council and the police. And I put my idea forward to research this further. What information is out there, and can it all be collated? And so I led a team, and we looked further, and this is where I saw there was a massive gap. Everything was spread, everyone had a piece of the pie, and a lot of the information that was crucial in the moment after an assault was hidden behind a phone line. You had to call up, and a lot of people don't want to do that right after an assault. And so I thought this is a perfect thing to do for survivors, to bring back control to them, to give them that information they need after something horrific, and not only for them, but for their family and friends. People often don't know what to say, people often don't know what to do, they're afraid to upset them further. And my solution would be an information site. It would contain everything you need in a calm, non-medical, non-legal way. Something that is easy to look at, easy to share, so that you could just send it across to a friend and say, look, this is what you need to do, or this is where you need to go, this is near you. I have spoken to the council and the police, Essex Police, from our Safer Streets journey together, and they are very keen to keep this going, but they would like to see a prototype. And so I am asking for £3,000 to create a website, as best as I can make it, a prototype, a proof of concept, to show them that not only will this be something that I will love, but other people will find great use from and they can invest in. So that would be where I would be looking to get more money after, with their support during projects and their endorsement, really. And so lastly, I just want to leave you with this statistic, which I found very startling. Last year alone, 63,000 people reported to the police that they had been raped. 63,000 people. And that is an annual high since records began. This is the highest rate. So this shows that there are so many people out there that are in the dark, that need help, and with the average wait of 140 days for the CPS to make a decision about a case, this is something that needs to happen now. People are in the dark and they need information. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. I'll ask colleagues, who's going to go first? Let's go first. Oh, Bev.
Good evening, and thank you very much for that very heartfelt presentation. I can tell that that's got a lot of passion for you. I guess my question is, obviously, the purpose of this is very, very clear. What's your business model going forwards? Because this feels to me like this is a very social enterprise.
Yeah.
So a little bit more about that would be lovely.
Yes, so you're right, it would be social enterprise. So we're not, it's probably a bad thing to say in a business competition, but I'm not looking for swathes of profit. Anything that we would make would go directly back into the business. It's more, if obviously, we would, as I said, want support from local councils, local police, and that obviously, it can go across the country really. I spoke to the police representative in Essex, and they had put out an inquiry to all the different police constabularies in the UK and said, are you guys doing any research to find out, the services we're providing for people that have been assaulted? And 10 of them got back to them out of all of the people, and they all said, no, we're not doing anything, but if you guys are doing it, we'll do it too. And so they are keen, but like I said, people don't know what to say. It's a bit, it's a bit of an eggshelly area, and I think that's where this would be perfect to say, look, we have something, you can be involved, we can do projects with you, and that is where I put in the forecast different money coming from police grants to charities, to say we can do research. You know, once we have a trusting base, there's a sort of stigma around the police, and so if a third party comes in and says, well look, what information are you missing? What do you need from the police? What would help you? Then that would be where we would come in. So yeah.
Thank you. James. It's live, yes.
Just building on that, I mean, I understand well that the initial focus is to provide a source of reliable and useful practical information to people in this terrible situation. But moving on from that, your business case mentions about building long-term relationships with customers. I'm not quite clear if customers mean people who've suffered in this way, or if you actually mean organisations which are trying to support them or pick up, like the police, like councils, like social services, and maybe others. If you could clarify who it is you're looking to support there, and to what extent the long-term relationship actually means providing an additional service behind the website. Because it's one thing in terms of cost of having a website which is updated and current information. It's another thing if you get into counselling or direction or advisory services, whether that's to people who are providing help to people who suffered, or whether it's to those who suffered themselves.
Great question. In terms of customers, it would be both that we'd be looking for long-term relationships with, but in that instance, I did mean more people that would be using this site. It would be, obviously you don't want people to have to keep coming back to the website and things like that, but as I said with the statistic at the end, if 63,000 people are being assaulted, you'll know someone somewhere. And so, we would want to keep a long-term relationship with the people using it. So hopefully in the future, as we grew more, we would want to have forums, places where people could, interact with each other. But we wouldn't be offering counselling. I think that becomes quite a tricky area, and I'm not licensed. I don't know anyone that's licensed. So, and we would also be wanting to have long-term relationships with the councils and charities and the police, because I think there really needs to be a middleman that brings these bits of information together. And if we just have their cooperation for 5 minutes, that is great, but it would be great to have it to be a long term, if you could say that you had a relationship with them for 10 years, that would be fantastic, because a lot of their information is very useful. The police know at every stage, they're just not sharing it, and that's what people are crying out for. So if you had that, luckily I have that relationship now with Essex Police and Essex County Council, so I have the information that, what each stage is and things like that. So we would want to keep that relationship going, just for further support, further projects and things like that. So does that
Jade.
Yes, it is an excellent idea. Congratulations on your passion for it. Just to build a little bit more on this, because I think it is for me it's the nub of it. So there will be a website which will be available for people to input their information. And I think, as was just said, you would need to be a bit careful, because you might be seen as a counsellor quite early on. People are going to, in their distress state, seek advice. So I would suggest, you may have this in mind already, that you think through the specification and the detail of the different relationships with the different agencies that you mentioned, and maybe even some others. There could be professional counsellors engaged in the process, so that when the whole thing is launched, some of these questions I would just suggest are at least partly answered, because I think you're going to have, when this site is launched, probably quite a deluge of people coming onto it, because this is rather a large problem, but we all regret it is. But that's just sort of a bit more information, but a little bit of advice on how to proceed.
Thank you. That's That's really helpful. Thanks.
Thank you for standing up and talking about what's really a difficult subject, but it's a subject that needs to be talked about. I wanted to ask you about your competitor analysis and market research. Now, you mentioned that there's some gaps in the market, and you mentioned an example, and I wondered if you'd be able to give me some more, because there are national charities dealing with this subject, but there's also local competition as well. So it would be great to have your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, we would be looking obviously to do further competitor analysis, because so far I have just looked at the information that's available and how easy it is to find. In terms of competitors, and like you said, local ones, a lot of them don't have a good presence on social media, and I don't think it's a lack of trying. I think it's a lack of understanding of how these social media accounts work. And I'm currently a marketing intern, and so I have an understanding of how to get the information out there for people to see it. And so that would be what my edge is over the competition, my knowledge of that, and my insight into the mind of someone that has been assaulted, you know. So like in terms of competition, yes, there is quite a few things out there, but I would like to think that it would be unique, and that competitively I have the edge because of my knowledge of how to get the information out there and for it to be seen. Information is great, but if no one sees it, is it really there? So that would be how, yeah.
Thank you. Just got time for a very short question. If there was a further one, Debbie, please.
Hi, Ellie.
I'm a dress.
Thank you so much. The business, is this you alone, or do you see this growing? Do you need an advisory board? Who do you need around you to make this successful?
For now and in the forecast, I just have me. That's just being conservative and also being very, I don't know, I'm a bit, you know, I'm not, if it grows massively, then 100% I would like a marketing team, and I would like, I'm not great with the numbers, so I would love a financial person. We would really need legal advice of the topics that we spoke on. With your advice, definitely, so I would love to have a whole team around me, because as much as I have the passion for it, it's a community issue, and me just doing it is great until it hits a point. Then I would need a team, and I would love to have a team of people that know this issue and can then give back to the community. So that would be who I would like around me.
Lovely, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Simon with Embrace Neurodiversity.
23rd of March 2020. That's a day we will never forget. It was the day everything shut down, and businesses need diverse ways of thinking more than ever to survive. Neurodiversity became essential for business survival. What also came up was the Great Resignation, where hundreds of people were handing in their notice, mainly because of working cultures and toxic environments. And in this last year alone, there's been a sharp rise in the number of cases in the employment tribunals relating to neurodiversity, potentially costing businesses thousands of pounds in payouts, in legal fees. But let's not forget the damage that an employment tribunal can do to a company's reputation. In 2020, the Institute of Leadership and Management conducted a survey, just over 1,000 employers. And when they were asking about whether an employer would appoint a neurodivergent person, 50% said yes, 50% said no. And the main reasons for that was because of a lack of training and a lack of support. From my own experience as an autistic employee, I can honestly say there's not a lack of desire. Employers really do want to know how to work with neurodivergent people. Just very unsure how to go about it. And there's a fear there as well of getting it wrong. a fear that could now be exacerbated by those rising numbers of employment tribunal cases. This is where Embrace Neurodiversity comes in. The framework allows managers to be able to analyse their team strengths and weaknesses and cross-reference those with the talents and the difficulties that their neurodivergent employees have. By embedding the talents within the team strengths and improving on team weaknesses will lead towards improved business performance. By looking at how team strengths could help with the difficulties, it's a cost-effective way of providing reasonable adjustment. And there's also psychological safety. The framework supports employers by looking at how team weaknesses could actually impact on the difficulties, therefore trying to prevent triggering situations. So we lead more towards a psychologically safe and inclusive working environment. I'm seeking an investment of £2,000 to turn this opportunity into a reality, to embrace neurodiversity, to achieve much more together.
I'll just let Simon get it.
Sorry to turn my back on you there, I didn't mean to do it. So,
well done, well done. First question, who wants to go first?
Simon, thank you very much for that. And you touch on a difficult subject for many businesses. Now, I noticed from your business case, you were looking at actually focusing on a lot of SME businesses. Often, they're the businesses which are actually struggle most in terms of resources to manage these kind of issues and wider issues. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about why you're focusing on SMEs rather than perhaps larger corporations with larger and more mature HR capabilities, and indeed how you see your channels for getting to those businesses as customers.
yeah, so the business plan that I put in was focusing on the smaller businesses and medium certain size as well. And I guess the reason why I wanted to do that was to try and get that, is that starting small and sort of getting that message out there. And there's a lot of emphasis and support in Worcestershire in particular on developing those small and medium enterprises. And I was looking at getting the real sort of that practice going in there. A very good question about the larger corporations. I don't see why it couldn't. I'm going to have to think about that and get that to you. It's a good question.
Okay, I mean, I just think that an observation is that often larger corporations which will have the greater ability to absorb programs like this and actually put them through training programs and other things through their staff.
Definitely look into that. Thank you.
Okay, who's Alan?
Well, just to add one very quick point to what's been said, having looked at what you plan to do, if you were able to secure 2 or 3 largish customers, you would generate revenue, which would enable you to proceed faster with the business and develop it in whatever way that you decide you want to do that. So I think it's a very interesting point for you to consider.
Thank you.
Who's next? Debbie.
So interesting. This is an area I'm really interested in, and in fact 40% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic, and as that is primarily your target market, do you see that being a barrier to them adopting, using the portal, etc.? Do you think that there needs to be a flexible entry route for your customers, or do you think the 3 options that you've stated will cover all the divergent employers? Sorry, that was a super long question.
It was. If you want to just repeat the first
Of course. So given that you are focusing on SMEs, and we know that 40% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic, have you considered that as part of your generation of your 3 streams? And do you think they will need other ways of accessing, or do you think these 3 are right, for those employers?
Is this to support, to develop managers understanding how to work with dyslexic employees?
Yeah.
And this is where the framework will actually be quite useful, because when it's looking at, because quite often with, at the moment in terms of reasonable adjustment, the focus has always been quite heavily on the challenges, but not actually thinking about what the talents are. And that's actually not inclusion, that's integration. And so what I'm seeking to do with this particular framework, and I'll get to the three things in a minute. With the framework, it's to sort of acknowledge that neurodiversity is about the way of thinking and trying to remove the whole labelling side of things. Because when we talk about neurodiversity, we're not just talking about neurodivergence, we're also talking about neurotypicals as well. It's everybody's diversity. So when looking at challenges and looking at the talents and looking at the challenges, you know, that we can look at embedding that a little bit more. So where that training comes in can be through the online platform is one thing, because there does need to be an awareness training part of it. You know, they do need to understand a little bit more about dyslexia and ASC and ADHD and various other neurotypes. But awareness only takes you so far. What those awareness trainings do, which is what a lot of the competitors would do, is that they are focused quite a bit on the initial bit of awareness, but that only challenges explicit bias, doesn't challenge implicit bias. So what sometimes quite often happens is that they have the neurodiversity training, things are great for a little while, but then it goes right back to square one again. So the framework that I'm looking to be implementing is intended to be revisited. And because there's a new employee coming in it as well, you're looking at talents and the challenges. That's very much based on previous experience. And they're going straight into another environment. So it does need to be revisited as well once the employee's got that experience of where they're working now. I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
You have.
I have, thank you.
Question from Tom as well.
Yeah, thank you ever so much, and especially for highlighting such an important topic. I'm interested in the sort of research you've done around the business model. If you could just briefly outline what have you looked at, who else is in this space, and how did that lead you to devise your pricing strategy for the various different products?
First question was about the...
Who else is in this space?
As in our
competitors? Or, yeah.
So, there are other organisations out there that are much more nationwide focused. So you take organisations like Genius Within, and you've got Ability Smart. There are organisations out there that do a fantastic job, they really do. And what I wanted to do was sort of hone in on the region to start off with, because if I will not be able to compete straight away with all these large organisations, but I can actually start planting a seed and then letting it grow. So like with anything, a business plan and a business model is very much, it's like, you know, when you have like a boulder and you need to try and push it, the hard work is at the beginning until you get the momentum. And I'm looking to try and generate that momentum through starting off in Worcestershire and then moving into West Midlands afterwards. And then, who knows after that, that's a bit later on. Second part of the question.
How did you come up with the pricing structure or the pricing strategy?
Pricing structure was based on the starting off with the costs of the platform. So the online platform, the insurances and things. So I wanted to look at making sure that that's covered. But I also I asked a few friends of mine that I know that have their own businesses, and I asked them how much do they charge for things like consultancy, coaching, how much do they charge for things like day trainings, and what was constantly coming back was a range. And the range is what I basically start off with, low end at the beginning to try and get some momentum and some credibility behind it, then grow it up afterwards as time goes on. That's the idea, anyway.
Thank you. Any final questions? No? Final question.
Thank you very much for the presentation and fielding all our questions. I guess mine is more of a comment. I wondered if you thought about working with learned societies and charities to get endorsement for what you're doing, and if you'd thought of, you know, approaching them and using them as your sort of influential friends.
That would be brilliant, actually. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
So, well done. That concludes questions.
So next taking centre stage.
Sorry.
So next. Okay. We have Adam and Douglas with History Revisited.
Hello, my name is Adam Sheffield and I'm a qualified Army Cadet instructor.
My name is Douglas Stewart. I'm also an Army Cadet instructor and I'm County Public Relations Officer for the Army Cadet Forces in Cambridgeshire.
And together we formed a partnership in our business, History Revisited.
Adam and I are passionate military historians, researchers, collectors. We've travelled extensively visiting battlefields and we've put together very substantial collections of authentic military artefacts, some of which you can see in the pictures here. We are determined to find a way to bring these resources, our passion, our enthusiasm for this subject, and these objects to share with young people by delivering paid educational talks to schools.
Back in secondary school, I vividly remember my monotonous and dull history lessons. Hours spent staring at black and white textbooks, watching as my fellow classmates fall asleep around me. This demonstrates the necessity for an alternative learning solution, one which complements the existing curriculum.
We can make history real, relatable, and relevant. We know that history is a fascinating subject, and we will give presentations that are lively, that are energetic, which can engage young people. We will tell stories about the First World War, about the tragedy and the drama of that terrible conflict. And we will enable young people to handle authentic artifacts and make emotional and historical connections with real events and real people.
With extensive research in this field, we do not believe there are any other businesses that provide this service to schools.
We hope also in the future that we might be able to grow our military history business into other areas, for example, into military costume hire and film and television advisory work.
So we are looking for £2,000 to cover our initial costs. Most of all we already have to actually present these talks to schools. But we will need to finance a number of important, essential elements to get our name into the public domain and into the education field. These include costs for website development, promotional video, flyers, advertisement, and things like additional demonstrative equipment.
We're already in touch with one school, and the head teacher there is extremely enthusiastic and supportive and very keen for us to come and present to students. The First World War remains an incredibly important and relevant subject. Every year, hundreds of films, documentaries, dramas, theatrical productions are produced. And every year, hundreds of thousands of people take part in remembrance events. We are determined to support this continued interest and to use our knowledge and our understanding to make sure that these terrible events are never forgotten.
Debbie, are you going to go first?
I have so many questions.
I hope that's good.
And you look great as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great pitch. Schools notoriously have difficult budgets. Have you explored any other markets, routes that I know you mentioned other pivot areas, but any other customers that you've explored?
Do you want to
Yeah, sure. So currently at the moment we are looking exclusively at secondary school education. We are looking more into the private education because that's where the money is, and they have more funds to have people like Dan and I come along to schools and present. But you know, we also understand that it's important that state schools also get the same treatment. You know, it's not fair that we just go straight to the private schools. So we are looking into military or educational charities that can support us going to state schools if they don't have the funds.
But to answer the question specifically, I think we have been very much looking at schools. We would be very interested to hear if anyone has any suggestion for any other markets, but it's not obvious to us what they would be.
You have a second question?
Yes,
please. Thank you.
How do you scale this business? How big do you see it getting in its current format?
Yes. The truth is that we don't know. We've got to find out. We are determined to make it happen one way or another. But whether it can be a small business, which we are doing more as a hobby or enthusiasm, or if we can grow it into something very big and very exciting, then that's fantastic, and we will do that if we can. But that remains to be seen.
Thank you. Tom, do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess just elaborating on that a little further, how many bookings would you need to secure for that to sort of provide and cover in both of those formats, either just the two of you as full-time employees in business or a growth model?
Well, certainly, I don't think we are not imagining in the near future that this would be a full-time business. I'd be surprised if we can make it that, certainly not quickly. We would need a very considerable number of bookings to make it a full-time business, and we would need to have schools offering us back-to-back lessons that we can travel to make it worth travelling to. I think we are inclined to envisage it as a part-time business and to be earning money.
But beyond the 3 years, we can expect to expand and potentially make this a full-time business.
And that's why I mentioned about potentially going into military costume hire and film and television advisory work. We want to see what other related avenues, because we suspect that we're going to have to supplement it with some other things. Thank you. Jade.
Thank you. My degree is in history, so I'm actually very interested. In terms of geography, are you quite geographically limited? Would you limit yourself to Cambridgeshire and the surrounding areas?
Well, I suppose we would have more of a presence in Cambridgeshire, but Doug and I are more prepared to travel to other areas. But seeing as that schools are very well connected, in a localised area, we would envisage us only going to a certain small area. So Cambridgeshire, for example, we would have a lot more connections for doing these presentations in Cambridgeshire. But we do travel to places.
If schools could offer us back-to-back lessons, then it could potentially be worth us travelling, much further afield. So that is a possibility.
And just a follow-up question, Chair, if I may, a suggestion. Debbie spoke about other sectors, and then suggested the health and social care sector might be one about looking at.
So health and social care sector. Okay. Thank you.
Any final?
Just
Alan?
please. Just quickly, really. You say you're talking to a school already at the beginning here. Is it likely, just a question really, that you're going to need to spend some time, for example, with the history master teachers at the schools in order to make sure that you tell the students what they want, but that the whole thing is balanced, verified, and get contributions from those that might also know some information that will be useful? Is it going to be a consultative process before you do a show at a school?
Can you answer that?
Yeah, you are.
Well, I think our approach is principally to be offering an experience to inspire young people about history. And therefore our hope is that would be compatible with the curriculum, really whatever they're teaching. You're quite right, and I would certainly be wanting to speak to history teachers and finding out how we can support what they're doing directly. But our role we wouldn't see our role specifically as teaching the curriculum. It would be providing an exciting lesson and stimulating the children to want to study further.
Okay, thank you. You're saying you're focused on secondary schools, which I think is year 11 and above. I just question, is that perhaps getting into plenty of students are not actually studying history at that stage, and I was wondering whether actually the scope to be going into primary education, perhaps sort of year 8 or something like that. Certainly when I've seen one or two similar things, actually not focused more on the war, but more on domestic front things, the Second World War.
Yes.
It's more of that kind of age.
It's worth mentioning we're also interested in the home front, and that's another possibility that we can develop. But yes, I mean, as you can tell, we're in the early stages with this, and we've got enthusiasm and the drive, And we're very much drawing in information at the moment to find out what the best thing for us to do is. But absolutely.
But just to answer your question, probably it's different to what the school I went to. But secondary school for us was year 7 onwards. That may be different on different assumptions, but
that's a good point. I was thinking
we are mainly
catering
for year 7, 8, and 9 students. Obviously, because year 10 or 11 are looking at their GCSEs, and some of them are not studying history. So the main focus is 7 to 9, year 7 to 9.
I think I'm out of a bit of a muddle about my age.
But thank you. No further questions? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Lots of variety, eh? Keep it all on your toes. Just while we get everybody settled down, and the next, we've got 3 people to start. So I'd like to invite Joe, Fatima, and Enrico with a new name for their business idea with Accelerator.
On January 12th, 2021, Aaron Mills died in a horrific accident. He fell asleep behind the wheel, leaving loved ones behind. He's not alone. A recent study found that 1 in 3 heavy vehicle drivers have fallen asleep behind the wheel at least once in the past year alone. 60% regularly drive while fatigued. Now, the digital tachograph and the data that provides has laid foundations for much higher safety standards throughout the logistics industry. But we believe with better data, with driver personal state data, and with live data, this can only get better.
What we want to produce is a modular safety system that consists of 4 components. A basic central component, which is our minimum viable product, which is the tachograph, which is live and can share obviously live data with the operators. We also would like to use a brain-computer interface to measure and detect acute drop in alertness in the driver's brain. A heart monitor, which can be fitted onto the steering wheel to detect fatigue, and also a near-infrared camera to measure the openness of the eyes of the driver and obviously identify when the driver is falling asleep or has been distracted at the wheel. What we think is good of our product is that different customers, depending on their needs, can choose what component or what combination of these components they would like to purchase. In particular, for what concerns our minimum viable product, the tachograph, we think we have a competitive advantage because we would like to design it in a way that is anti-tampering, because still nowadays drivers can manipulate the driving records in order to avoid having to take breaks, and that obviously creates an unfair advantage on all the businesses. And also the big point would be that it can share live data with the operators and road authorities as well, and they can access it remotely, so potentially it can diminish the need to stop these drivers for roadside checks, which obviously can also delay the deliveries.
So our revenue model consists of a software where our units are able to, the data that's collected by our units is easily accessible by our web interface. And these units will cover a small cost, which will be used for installation and hardware. So we're currently seeking £4,000, and that is to kickstart our minimum viable product, which is the module T. And in year 2, we are looking at growing sales and focusing on developing our modules H and C. And in year 3, we aim to outsource production and the development of our product, and concentrate on increasing sales significantly. Thank you.
Well done. Okay, right. Who's going to, James, you can kick us off.
Well, thank you for that, and there have been tragic stories in the news over recent years. Firstly, to what extent have you actually analysed the wider market? Because there are a few products starting to emerge in this market. you actually developing something new, or is it actually duplicating what's out there? And given that, perhaps you could add a few words as to what your IP strategy is, both in terms of understanding what your freedom to operate without coming across other people's IP, and B, protecting your own IP as you develop this product.
So to answer the first part of your question, we have considered that obviously this technology has been proven, and we consider it obviously a point in our favour because we have studied and researched medical publications that can testify that we can detect fatigue with heart monitor, brain-computer interface, and even with the eye detection camera. So we know that the technology works, and it's been already employed by different companies such as Toyota and BMW, but what they haven't done is never, so far as much as we know, is applied to heavy goods vehicle drivers, which we think is the most useful market to apply to, because obviously we think it's more likely for a heavy goods vehicle driver to fall asleep rather than, you know, perhaps one of us that are going to the shop with our car. So that's the first part of your question.
Can I also add a bit? Also, because these modern safety technologies are so much better and evolving so quickly, but they're not being used in the older vehicles, which will still be on the road for years to come. And our technology is retrofittable at a much lower cost than, you know, buying a new HVG, which is going to be, you know, the price of a house at least.
And if I can add one very last point, for what concerns the minimum viable product, the tachograph, that is really what is not being done at the moment. They're not using live, well, very rarely they're using live tachographs, and if they're using live tachograph, this data that it generates, which is basically driving speed or the number of brakes or the speed of the distance travelled, that cannot be accessed in real time by the operators and the police, which is instead what we want to achieve.
Thank you very much. That's a really interesting presentation, a really interesting project. I think my question, coming from the more medical field, is have you considered what regulatory and CE markings you're going to require? Because I was bowled away when you went straight to year 2 in sales, thinking that tomorrow we're hosting a regulatory workshop for SMEs who've been working on their products for 5 to 10 years. So I just want to learn a little bit more about what you're thinking around the regulatory field with this technology.
So can I ask you, sorry, do you mean regulatory is in obtaining authorization to produce these, the different modules of the technology?
So that the modules are of an acceptable standard and the detection is working within specified guidelines. Everything in this field needs to be regulated and approved. So yeah, what have you thought about that?
For what concerns the minimum viable product, the tachograph, we have contacted the DVSA because production and installation and calibration of the tachograph requires a license and also has some minimum legal requirements that we need to meet. So we have already contacted the DVSA and have illustrated to us the process that we need to follow in order to apply for this license, and also what are these minimal technical requirements that the tachograph needs to have. For what concerns the rest of the technology, we are dedicating from year 2 onwards for research and development, so we haven't really clarified that site yet because we would like to use the tachograph as an early form of income, so we focus mostly on that for now.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing where you go with this.
Thank you. We'll hope going somewhere.
Yeah, thank you for a very good presentation. I wonder if you could clarify a little bit the business model, because in reading the more detailed material too, you mentioned quite a lot of manufacturing. It wasn't clear to me whether you're planning to become a manufacturing company and make all this stuff, or whether you will be a design company and eventually the manufacturing will be outsourced.
Yes, so as we mentioned, outsourcing is aimed for year 3, and that's why you can see we're selling a lot more modules, because we can produce a lot, well, other people can produce a lot more than we can in-house. So no, we're not aiming to be a manufacturing company. And sorry, the first part of your question I had an answer to, but it's escaping. What was the first part?
That you answered the question.
Okay, right, yeah. Oh, and our main income model is software as a service. So the web interface where you access our data will be a subscription model, and that subscription price will fluctuate based on the amount of data you use.
Yeah, thank you guys. A really exciting market with all sorts of applications. Privacy. Obviously, you're collecting and sharing biometric, physiological data with employers about employees. What considerations have you had around their rights to privacy and how this changes that employer-employee relation?
We've had lots of talks about this, and Enrique's so passionate about this, so I'm going to leave the floor.
Oh, sorry, I'll just quickly say, well, I myself am very much interested about this topic, as you said. So at the moment, drivers of heavy goods vehicle are already subject to data acquisition, especially regarding the speed, not the speed as well, but also the position. The location, the geographical location, that's what I meant. So we think that on top of that, the physiological data, we were thinking of rendering it, obviously protecting it as much as we can in adhering with current regulations, and also to be used in a way that doesn't infringe the driver's right to privacy, so obviously in the most anonymous way possible, and in a way that only allows for operators to really detect whether there is somebody that is either not respecting the rule, or better, is not respecting the rule because it's not taking the breaks that they're required to take. So really we are trying to find a sort of compromise where we want to enforce the current legislation, but also help these drivers, obviously, for their own safety on the streets. We would like to decrease traffic collisions. So in terms of privacy, we are divided, but we think that acquisition of different types of data can only benefit the companies, reducing insurance prices and also obviously save lives eventually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said earlier that your idea was novel by its market rather than by design, so difficult to protect. It's quite a slow route to market over 3 years. What's my concern for you is what's stopping somebody with more money coming in, taking the idea, rolling it out faster. Is there anything stopping you other than funding getting there quicker?
Does anyone else have a
I think
first?
I think if I can
Okay,
just quickly
sorry.
say the big challenge for us would be, as they mentioned before, the legal requirements of this technology. That is going to be obviously a challenge because not only we need to understand everything about the technology, but also we need to meet the requirements and find a way to produce it in a way that adheres to the law. So that I think is going to be the thing that the most challenging thing at the beginning. But yes, you're right. Obviously, if there is a bigger market, bigger competitor that can produce these things, they would be able to achieve it faster. But only thing that I can argue with that is why has it not been done? A live tachograph, why has it not still been done when it's technology that is really quite basic, fundamental? So,
Jade, into the final question.
Thank you. Logistics is a growth sector, especially in the east of England, but it also has its challenges. So what barriers do you think you'll face in encouraging businesses to take up?
So if perhaps you're worried that this data will show that you are asking your drivers to do unsafe things and purposefully not enforcing regulations that are in place by law, then as a company you will probably be quite shy to implement technologies that hold you and your drivers to account. So that will potentially affect our market, but hopefully we've seen that this is a priority for drivers and for logistics companies themselves, because less accidents is less cost to the company, and it's going to bring your insurance prices down if you do follow the rules and you follow the rules with data to back it up.
we contacted, for example, Marks and Spencer's, and they have confirmed to us that they would be interested in a technology that helps them decrease insurance prices, just like a black box would do for teenagers. So that's a big incentive for us. And also, these buses, they can cost as much as a house. So an incident, even if it's not fatal, which obviously is a human damage, it can really cost a lot of money for these companies.
And what I just suggest as well is there's one great advantage which could potentially benefit your company, which would be in terms of regulations. So speak to policymakers, speak to politicians as well, to encourage greater regulation in that area.
Thank you. Thank you, we'll definitely do it. Thank you.
That's the end of the questions. Well done.
Right. So how are we feeling, all right? Last but by no means least, and we're going to present to you Sam and Canal with My Safety Act Match.
Did you know that one woman in killed every 3 days as a result of violence in the UK. It's shocking, isn't it? I can see lots of you shaking your heads. I bet you're just like me. You worry about your loved ones coming home in the dark after work or from school. You worry about your friends and family on a late night out. We all deserve to be able to travel safely and confidently. Personal safety apps are a key tool in helping women be safe, and there are over 50 of them on the UK market. They all have different features, different connectivity, some are free, some are paid for. We did a review of all of these apps, and we found it took 4 researchers weeks to go through all the information, and we were asked to match a safety app to a particular group of women. We found this difficult because every woman has their own unique needs and safety concerns. We also found that women, or people in general, just don't know where to get this information and where to get the apps. They don't know that much about them and what they can do. So that leads us, women need to be able to get this information quickly, easily, to make the right choice of safety app. Let us share with you our idea, My Safety App Match.
So our idea is to create a very simple website. Users input basic data, they put the features they need, the one they don't, and from then the selector matches them with the best safety app for their needs. We have evidence that My Safety App Match is a vital tool in the fight to end violence against women and girls. We got endorsed by Essex County Council that sees this as the logical step in their plan to improve women's safety in Essex. We have the Met Police that read our report and shared it to the Home Office and to the NPCC. There will be only one message to advertise to them. Use My Safety App Match for all your safety needs.
So we're a social enterprise company, and we think it's important that it's free to all vulnerable users. But we know that revenue is vital to carry out this important work. So we've identified 3 streams. The first is government grants and charitable donations. The second is consultancy. We're going to have a load of data from our review, and we're also going to have a lot of information about women's needs. So these key insights will help us to work with app companies to come up with better apps, new products, and also local governments in creating new strategies. We'll also be able to help on select advertising and click referral.
We're asking for an initial investment of £4,000 from the Big Pitch. In that way, we're going to be able to develop the better version of our website, but as well as prepare for Freshers Week as we're trying to launch in August. Safety of women and children is a vital thing. It concerns everyone here in this room. Together, let's take a step forward to end this problem with My Safety App Match. Thank you.
Well done. Not easy to go last as well, so well done. Fantastic. Who wants to? Debbie and then Jade, please.
Thank you. You mentioned 50 plus apps that are available. Have you done any research around the usage or uptake of such apps?
Yes, we have. We've looked at all the user reviews of the apps, and we've seen that there is good use of them. And we're working with Essex County Council on doing user testing of all the apps. We did some preliminary testing, and that's an area that we want to focus on more. The Met Police have been using a Safer Streets tool on a website version, and they've approached us to help them convert that into an app, so they see the value in this sort of product as well.
And a follow-up question, why specifically aimed at the female market?
It's aimed to anyone that feels vulnerable. For the moment, we've marketed like this because as Ellie, we've started with Safer Street project that was aimed at the women and girls, but it's anyone that is vulnerable have the need to have a safety app should use our website.
Also, it's a key area that a lot of government funding is going towards at the moment, and by keying into this area of funding, it means that we can develop our website quicker. But we have been speaking to parents, and lots of people are very worried about their sons going to university as well.
Thank you. I'm not familiar with safety apps, and I wondered if you could of the features of apps and how they can benefit?
So it really depends on you, but it's very hard to find the right one for you. I've got one on my phone. If I feel threatened, I shake my phone and it records both cameras and the mic and goes on a safe cloud that is protected with a password. So I have evidence that I've been harassed. Some people, they run. There's a man-down function on HollyGuard. Some people, they're worried about their loved ones, so there's something where you can share with your family or your contacts. Some have emergency buttons, some are for people traveling. There is a lot, and so that's why we want to have something to simplify this information. It took us more than a month for researchers to do the review and test all the apps. This is not okay for women or vulnerable people in general to do that. You can't spend a month before being safe.
There's also great apps for parents. They'll be able to designate a safe area around the streets around their house, and they'll get an automatic ping after school when their children go into that safe area. So without the children having to remember to text mum, I'm home now, safe, ping, it goes off. It might be as soon as it reaches the home Wi-Fi, or it might be the safe street. There's also apps where you can put in information and it will give you whether there's travel delays, whether there's reports of streets that are unsafe, so it can direct you around those. There's ones where if you're travelling, you've got 6 close contacts, and if you don't hear from you in a few days, it'll ping messages to the contacts to say, might be an issue here.
Yeah, thank you ever so much, and I must confess it's not something I know much about, so you're educating us today, thank you. Perhaps a suggestion that you've already considered and a follow-up question. So you might be uniquely positioned as people that have really looked into the usability and the functionality of all these different apps to actually expand into some kite mark system that app developers themselves would pay you to be the standard that people look for when downloading apps. So I'll put that out there. But a lot of the funding model is dependent on access to grant schemes or public funds, and there is more going in this space, thankfully, but it's extremely competitive. Could you just share with us your experience or your, what will happen if those funds aren't forthcoming? Talk us through that a little more.
So the initial fund that we've identified is the National Lottery, and what we want to use the Big Pitch money for is to get a really good test case and some really good data to strengthen our pitch to the National Lottery. So I've looked at the scheme. We meet all of the requirements for what they're trying to fund at the moment, and I've looked at what funds have been awarded over the last year, and I'm confident we tick a lot of them. I have actually spoken to one of their advisors who will work with you to develop a really good pitch, and he's very excited and thinks it's really good. In terms of other funding, we've already secured some funding with an influencer. She's a rower that rowed across the Atlantic, and she did that single-handedly a couple of years ago. But she's actually going now with a team of 4 women on the first ever race that goes from San Francisco to Hawaii. So she's crossing the Pacific with 4 women. So what we're going to be they're going to raise money for us, and we're going to work. She does great speeches on empowering women and people in general. So we're going to work with her, and we're going to track her journey, and they're going to do blogs with us. So it's a really good way of us it's a great story. It's 4 women on an adventure across uncharted territory, and we're going to be following it, and they're going to be raising money for us, right?
Yeah, the whole point is empowering people and having this amazing group of women willing to do this with us, and it's also going to attract a lot of people to our website as we're going to be tracking on it. It's just an amazing thing, and there's also a band that is willing to have a fundraising night for us.
So thank you. Well done.
Thank
I hope you are absolutely dumbfounded. I
I think these students have had such an amazing journey. This is just the start of their journey. So they started by uploading a 1-minute video pitch. They then went out to public vote, and then judges vote, and 20 ideas went through to a boot camp, and they were immersed in marketing and pitching skills and finance for 2 days, and they then had to pitch again to another set of judges, and we've got 6 finalists today. So they're just at the start of their entrepreneurial journey, but they've done so much to get here. I think they all deserve a really huge round of applause. Now, I'm sure you've been sitting around for a long time now, and I'm just hoping that we're going to have some refreshments. Is that right? Excellent. Is there? Yes. 5 minutes. Okay, so if you get up from your seats very slowly, the judges will go to their judging chamber, and they will have some food sent up to them, and they can deliberate, and tear each other's hair out, I think, once in a while. We've given them something really to
in place, and they've cogitated, deliberated, argued, torn each other's eyes out, and still they're still standing. Okay, let's hear it for our finalists. Well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that the judges have had a very tough time. You have all been absolutely amazing, and as said all the way along, you are all winners, and you've made ARU proud. You really are fantastic. So give yourselves a round of applause. I'm going to ask our sponsors in order to present some of the prizes. The prizes aren't all exactly as they appear in the brochure, and some will be discussed with you later, but there are different prizes for different things. So, what I'd like to do initially is invite Jade from the FSB up to present the prizes to her chosen 3 best pitches. So, let me hook up on this right. We have, and do wait for your photograph. Simon. Doug and Adam. Goes to Accelerator. And if you could all go together. Is that the best place for you to stand?
Yeah. Are we moving this way?
Yeah, I think you need to punch in a little bit. Don't be shy.
Why thanks? Talking a bit today?
Different.
Don't hide.
Be proud. Green Wave, Sebastian and Tomo down to
offer you is a golden ticket to our Climate Accelerator program. It's 6 months fully funded support to help you with your journey.
as well, just a one-off coaching session, some use of our Cambridge offices, and that will go to our military friends.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry now with the cost of the uniforms, but I can never remember your company.
Thank you very much.
And the same prize to information is power.
Right, next on the stage is our Arise Prize. And I'd like to invite Beverly up here to present it. You haven't got anything to give them, have you? No. Handshake. We have, this is obviously a physical prize, so the Arise Prize, do you want to explain what it is, Beverly? Or do you want to announce what it is first? The main prize, yeah?
The main prize, announce what it is first.
Right, the main prize goes to Accelerator.
So you've won, to be determined in discussion, either a physical or virtual tenancy at one of our Arise Innovation Hubs for 6 months. Thank you so much.
We will discuss that, exactly what you get later on. And they've very generously donated another prize to My Safety App. No, it's My Safety App.
So I decided to give to you a virtual tenancy so that you can come connect with our other businesses working in web and app technology, because I think that will be really valuable to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Award the Engineers in Business Prize. It's not a physical prize, but we'll explain everything that goes along with that. And this year that goes to Accelerator. Now, there's a very hard job again to spend ARU's money, funding, and if I can invite Yvonne up just to shake people's hands, if that's okay. This year it's being split up in a number of ways. Firstly, we have £1,000 to Simon. And our military very much, Yvonne. That's the final bit of. Oh no, I want you while you're still there.
Solid dance routine.
We have every year we have a student entrepreneur of the year award. This is somebody that has shone in our eyes and maybe attended mentoring and joined in with extracurricular activities and achieved an awful lot. And we were really, really torn this year, and it's almost been like a chip in the coin. So this year we're going to give it to Sebastiano. One member of each team just pop down and get a book, okay? And have your certificate back.
I will sign them at the end of the each. Okay. Show me the money. There's one for each team. Stay here, we take a picture of all of it. Yeah. Oh. Well done, everybody.
Thank you, students. You have been absolutely amazing. As I say, you have made us all very, very proud. And it doesn't stop here. This is the next step of your journey. And we will obviously explain to you how you go about claiming your money, what you need to do to get onto these various courses. So that will be explained to you very soon, probably next week. So don't go away on holiday yet. As always with these events, they don't happen by themselves. So I would like to first of all thank our esteemed judges for giving up their time, energy and effort to come here today and to be with us and share in all this glory. Thank you so much. Obviously, I want to thank the catering people, the estates people, all of those that helped to make this work. I want to thank all the staff that have joined us today to support the students, all the student helpers, Adam, who's done the videoing today, Abhinav, who has been an amazing help. He's done all the videoing. And you saw the film tonight, which was absolutely amazing. Best film I've ever seen. So you've got to live up to a lot, Adam. And of course, I've also taken the stills tonight, so as well, we'll share those with you. I've got so many people to thank really, and obviously I have to thank my small and perfectly formed team, consisting of Omkar, Imran, last year's winner, has come to support you all again. So it's lovely to see you all, and thank you so much. You have been an absolute pleasure to work with. But most of all, you students, real stars. Thank you for making this such a wonderful occasion, and we really hope that you go out and be successful in this world. And not forgetting, I just realised I knew I'd forget people. James Barlow, who's one of our mentors, I can't see him now. Oh, there you are, James, right at the back. And David Bell, our entrepreneur in residence, sitting here in the front. Stand up, David, because none of this will happen. And Yvonne, BCG and others, staff. But that goes without saying. So thank you all, and have a very safe journey.
Before you go anywhere, we would like to take the opportunity to thank you as well, Marcia. Your energy is palpable. The legacy that you've created within ARU is just phenomenal in this space. And we have something for you, and Sarah wants to say a few words.
She's moving on to the next phase at the end of July. I'm not using any other words, because that's what she's doing. And I'd just like to say thank you. I've worked with Marcia for a very long time as well. We'll be sad to see you go. Your energy and enthusiasm and everything has just gone so well, and making everything work, all the arrangements as well. So thanks to Marcia. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Sarah, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Gary, and colleagues. I just don't say, but I'm not gone. I'm definitely not forgotten. Do you think that I could be a judge next year? Thank you, everybody, and I wish you a very good night. Thank you.